Hey there, Kingsley here. Thanks for joining me on this video broadcast. Today we'll be unpacking the topic of why we love and resent our spouses at the same time. Now, if you've been married for some time, been in a long-term relationship, you know that love can be a very complex emotion, right? And also in action, it can be very sometimes confusing, but it also is a thing that brings us joy and happiness and fulfillment. But what happens when love is mixed with resentment, where you are feeling resentful of your spouse? Now, in this video, where you'll uncover the surprising truth about how these two things can coexist, love and resentment. Now, we're going to explore the unique and often overlooked reasons, 5 of them, why we can feel both love and resentment towards our partners. If you've ever felt conflicted or confused because you're wondering how can these two things be true at the same time, let me just say to you, you're not alone. It happens to many people who are in any kind of long-term relationships. And so if you're feeling that way, this video is for you. So let's get ready then to uncover the truth about this complex nature, or basically seem like a paradox, right? And these things, how can they be coexisting, love and resentment? Well, we're going to talk about how that's possible. And so let's dive into what that may look like. Now, if you're hearing me for the first time and you're wondering, who am I speaking on this topic? Now, I'm Kingsley Grant, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach, and having counseled and coached hundreds of couples over the past several years, and having been married for almost 4 decades, I believe that this kind of qualifies me to talk about topics like this, wouldn't you say? And so I want to encourage you also to listen to my podcast that I have, a weekly podcast where I talk about different topics as well, at happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast, happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast. You'll see the number of topics I talk about there. Subscribe to the show on the platform that you're listening, and take me with you wherever you go, on your run, while you're laying down before bed, on your walk, in a car. Again, take me wherever you want to go in your pocket and listen to the podcast. Just consume as much as you can, and do like just sitting down and just taking everything at one time kind of thing, right? So how is it that possible then for us to have love and resentment for our spouses at the same time? Well, let me share with you 5 reasons I believe that is possible. But before I share that with you, let me just give you a definition of the word resentment. I think it's very important for us to be on the same page when it comes to this idea of resentment. Resentment can be defined as a feeling of anger, bitterness, indignation towards your spouse. And it typically comes as a result of wrongdoing, or feeling that you're treated unfairly, right? And so what that leads to is holding of a grudge, harboring negative feelings and thoughts towards your spouse, even though you may still love him or her. But it doesn't mean you don't have this resentment and you're holding on to that. You're suppressing it. You're trying to manage it as best as you can. But from time to time, it tends to rear its ugly head. And what you may see is the person distancing themselves or acting cold, and you're wondering where this is coming from. And that's being fed by the resentment, right? So it can be harmful to relationships and your overall personal well-being if it's not addressed and resolved. So what are the 5 reasons that this is so? Number 1 is our unique need for love. Reason number 1, our unique need for love. All of us have a unique need of how we want to be loved by our partner. And it varies. So how I want to be loved is not the same way my wife may want to be loved, which is true in our relationship. And so what happened is, if I'm not attending to her need for love the way she wants it, not the way that I think she needs it, but the way that she wants it, then she can feel a resentment, like I can also feel a resentment towards her if she's not addressing my unique need for love. And by that, I mean that the way she wants to be loved most times is not the way that you want to be loved, and vice versa. And in my case, that's also true. So whatever the idea of how you want to be loved had to be expressed, had to be shared. And if it's not being done, that person is harboring resentment and bitterness and anger and frustration because they feel like this person is not caring or even attending to their love language. And so they feel like an emptiness there as well. And so they build a resentment or harboring ill feelings and ill will towards this person, even though they still love them. Because again, love is more of an action than it is a feeling. Because love is an action more than it is a feeling. So both can coexist based upon what we're talking about here. Number two, what I call the attraction paradox. It simply talk about the opposites at the same time. Opposite attracts, right? So what happened is the thing that attracted you to your spouse, to your partner, is now the thing that you might be attacking. You no longer like that about him. You no longer like that about her. And so they tend to get into this thing where, because what was so attractive, he was so laid back, she was so busy taking care of everything and everyone, and it attracted you, and you just kind of applauded that, or applauded her because of how she did, or him because of how he was kind of laid back and just how he looked at life. But now that whole laid backness and that busyness is getting to you. It's wearing thin. And you're resenting the idea that this person is basically spending all the time doing those things or not attending to you because they're so laid back and just not involved, not engaged. And now that attraction paradox is happening. What was attracted is now being attacked, that very same thing. Now, if you've experienced this at any point and you're in any regards, and I want to encourage you to comment below and just put a comment in the comment box in this below this description, this phrase happened to me. Okay, put this phrase happened to me, and we know what you're talking about. That means you've experienced that attraction paradox. Number three, lack of support. And this have to do with the idea of sometimes you feel resentful of your spouse because they're not doing their quote fair share, right? They are allowing you to carry the heavy weight of whatever it is, whether it's a kids or whether it is taking care of things around the house, whether it is the scheduling things and remembering dates, and you feel like, he or she is not doing their part. They don't make an effort. They are just kind of laid back and just not engaged and leave that up to you. You have to carry the weight of that. And so even though you love your spouse because of the fact that he's a good provider, she's a good, mom and caretaker and all those different things, but yet you're resenting the fact that you feel like they could be doing more. There are other areas they could be working on, and somehow they're not working on that. One of the things I have worked on in putting together this pack of cards for couples, it's called Connect Strong. And it's a fun and meaningful conversations you can have. And one of the things we talk about here in this pack of cards is this very thing, where you can have conversation around how do you feel the distribution of the work or things around the house, responsibilities are being done. And this cards can help prevent these moments because you're having this ongoing conversation on dates or, important occasions, or just once a week, having those conversations will help you to kind of prevent some of these things from happening. And if you want to know more about this card, I'll tell you at the end how to get that. Number four is expectations and disappointment. We all have expectations for our relationships, whether we're aware of them or not, right? You have, I do, and so on. So what happens is sometimes when our expectations are not met, it leads to feelings of disappointment and frustration. But here's the crazy part. Sometimes we haven't expressed our expectations to our spouse. We haven't kind of identified and articulated what it is we expect of them. We just assume they should know. And because they didn't know and didn't follow through, we're disappointed and also feeling resentment because we see it as a personal thing. It's almost like they went to bed all night and they thought about this and here they come. acting this way. So that's what's happening sometimes. You have these expectations and you have disappointments. Because, for example, they didn't put the effort to make you feel special on a certain date, a birthday, on Valentine's Day. You expected flowers or expected candies or expected something, and they didn't follow through. But you didn't share with them about what it is you're expecting from them. He said, Kingsley, they should know by now. That's a problem. They should know it's the issue, because you assume that they should know. And maybe they do know, but it was the farthest thing from their mind. They're forgotten. It could be that they're stressed, whatever the case might be. These expectations need to be expressed, because unexpressed expectations lead to frustrations, of course, and disappointment. If you've experienced this at all time, at any point, comment below, and if this has ever happened to you. Just comment below in the comment section following the description of this video, and let us know if this has ever happened to you. Now, before I share with you the fifth reason about why we can love and resent our spouses at the same time, I'm going to ask three things of you. Number one is hit that subscribe button. So smash the subscribe button. Okay. If you've not yet subscribed to the show, hit that subscribe button right now. Number two, if you're liking what you've heard so far, is just hit that like button, right? And then also click that notification bell that simply says that, any new releases that come out, you'll be very much apprised of that and be the first to know. So number 5, I entitled this Triggers from the Past. Triggers from the past. Now, all of us have past issues, baggages, or things that have happened in the relationship itself, or from past relationships, or from childbirth. Those things, from childhood, those things can be an issue and can trigger us in the relationship. So we are looking for certain things, and maybe what happened is something in our relationship where it could be a behavior that you experience with your spouse. It could be infidelity. It could be an inappropriate behavior, whatever that might be. And so what happened is that when you see this person behaving in any manner that resembles what you experience, and even though they may have no intent, they have regretted, have shown remorse, asked for forgiveness, and they're innocently behaving around these things now because they have, they're a new person, a new man, a new woman, new wife, new husband. That doesn't mean a new as far as getting a new husband or a new wife, but they've become a new person. They've really transformed their lives, and you can tell because you've seen that. But they're innocently behaving in a way that reminds you so much of the past. Then what happened is a trigger from the past that can truly cause you to be resentful that this person is being insensitive and not caring, and it's almost like they're intentionally doing those things. And so what happens, you resent the fact that they're doing that. You may not express that, you may just suppress it, but you're feeling something, and you love them because you've seen how they've worked on making all the changes in their lives. But now you resent the fact that because something pops up, and here we go again, that you're now remembering and deja vu of what has happened. Now, these 5 reasons that I've outlined here, number 1, as I mentioned before, is our unique need for love. Number 2 is the attraction paradox. Number 3 is a lack of support. Number 4, expectations and disappointments. And number 5 is triggers from the past. I would love to hear from you, which of these 5, if any, resonated most with you. And have you experienced this? Has this happened to you? Is this happening to you right now? Can you relate to that? So comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this. I would love for you to engage in this conversation. I'd love to hear if you have any questions or anything to add. Please do so at the after watching this video. I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch, and now you've subscribed. Now you've hit the like button, and you've also clicked on the notification bell. We're good. Okay, we're good now because you have done what I call a spousal, honor. A spousal honor is that gentleman's honor is a spousal honor, because I've provided this value, and you're showing your appreciation in turn. As a spousal honor is to do those 3 things I've asked you to do, and I truly appreciate that. Now, I mentioned about these cards, and they connect strong. These cards are going to be available very soon for you, so stay in touch, and you're going to be able to know how to get a pack of these cards. It's 53 cards in here, and on the back you can see there's a QR code. You'll be able to scan this code, and have information of how to maximize the use of these cards. And I'll tell you more about that. I'll send you a link. I'll post a link next time where you can go in and be able to access these cards and get your own box of cards. In this case, right now, your own bag of cards until the boxes are ready. But they work just as well, because a box or no box is still, you're going to get the cards as well. So my friend, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and to watch, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. And until that time, let's go and make marriages happier again. Okay,